to assess the hazards, address the hazards, and monitor the hazards as we go through. So I've put a few hazards up. Being, I'm afraid that the dust as it escapes. You seen my video I put out, eh, Corey?
Yeah, I did.
A little bit of that escape that gets
Yeah.
out, and I'm concerned about that dust just kind of collecting on the equipment, and then me coming in a week later and dusting things up, and then ingesting some of their, breathing some of that in. That's what I'm scared of.
Oh, okay.
But Andrew figures that's something we should be able to manage just by like a very light, maybe wash down of the. Or first off, he says what we need to do is to actually see how much oxalic acid residue is actually there. So we're going to test it, and if there's a problem, then we'll see if we can wash it off. And if it's too much work, then it's just straight out the garbage, and we won't worry about it. But if it's something that's doable, I think we might be able to take opportunity.
Yeah, and does he recommend then to the having your fans on high for this?
Yeah, that's one thing he suggested. He said my fans aren't high enough, and I need more air exchange, and that's going to help take some of that and take it straight outside. And even, excuse me, I got to clear my throat.
Because you're cracking free tonight.
Even if I had an isolated fume hood that followed me around, that could maybe, some of that escape that you've seen that come from my colonies, just suck it straight up and then straight out. That would manage practically most of the issue. But it was I plugged the entrance up, and there's the only loss I was getting from the colonies. It was pretty much contained, except for I have crappy boxes, so I have cracks in my boxes, and if I had better equipment, I think I'd get a lot less loss within the shed. So, at any rate,
you want me to try in mine?
I'm not recommending it, but it's it could be a treatment option. They're broodless right now. That's a good thing.
That's what I'm thinking too. And I seen you doing it, and I says, like I'm wondering, this could probably be something I could work out as well in my shed.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's why I don't put it. Well, here I'm talking about it in front of everybody. But
I'm not helping you, I know.
But you see one Yakko on YouTube doing it, and everybody figures they should be doing it. That's the problem with this kind of stuff. Same with CO2. Like the last thing that we want to happen is people to walk in a shed that's being treated with CO2 and then drop dead, and have someone come in behind them, just like the slurry pits in the hog barn. It could be absolutely devastating. So we got to be careful with the hazards. We got to take, we're farmers. We just kind of, caution to the wind, but we need to be able to keep everybody safe and healthy too, right? Because they're just bees. I want to live for a long time.
Yeah. The thing is, with that shed, the way you have it set up, it's basically a confined space that you're entering, right? Because of the narrow walkways and everything. So.
Yeah.
And the CO2 levels. It doesn't have to have a roof on it because they're heavier than air. In Texas, there were some people that came down to go hog hunting, and the guy's dog fell into an open well. Stuff had gotten in there and rotted, and he went in to try to save his dog, and then his girlfriend went in to try to save him. And then finally, the third member of the party didn't jump in. And called for help, but all three, the dog and the couple, died. They had trouble getting anybody even to go in there and get them. Finally, one volunteer firefighter, after they vacuumed out as much gas as they could, they lowered him in there with the full gear on, and he was able to pull him out of there. It's serious. You don't want to mess around with that kind of stuff.
One interesting thing this one guy is doing, instead of doing the whole shed, he's doing partitions, so that it almost eliminates that hazard. I thought it was really smart, like making a dedicated area within the shed, so then you can move the colonies into that dedicated area, or move this shroud around the colonies, and so something that there's no way you're going to go into as it's being treated. I thought that was probably a good idea.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about is why don't we try it at night and open up our doors and then put big fans blowing the any kind of vapors towards the outside.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
That's just a thought anyway, but I'm willing to try it just for shits and giggles sort of thing. But,
Yeah.
you know,
A comment about clustered at 4 degrees and the OA being hard to, get into that cluster, and is possibly right. You want the cluster, you want that vapor to get into the cluster, right, and get as much coverage as possible. I found when I injected it into the colony, the bees, they really stirred up. So I think the penetration of the cluster is going to be there. And 4 degrees, what do you find, Brad? Like 4 degrees in the shed, they seem very loose and easygoing. It's not like they're clustered
They're
up
not
tight.
super tight. No,
No.
not at all. They're I guess you'd say they're clustered, but no, it's just I don't know how to characterize it. They are kind of together, but they're not just
They're not
super
like
tight.
Velcro.
And
No.
no. And I would expect that, like you say, Ian, I would expect exactly that. If you blew a bunch of OAV in there, they would kind of loosen up to fan that around and kind of take care of it.
Yeah, that seemed to be what they did. Yeah.
I've often thought about doing OA treatments from like the feeder holes. And I know, Ian, you can't do that right now, but when they're outside, there's, you could make up a device that will let the OA naturally go from the top to the bottom, because to me, it seems like when you're doing it at the bottom, you're losing a lot on the, on the bottom board right away, or the pallet, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's not going up until the bees really fan it around inside the hive. So I'm wondering.
I find that misconception that OAV doesn't naturally go up; it goes down.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, that's why you want to do it from the top. You get a
right. I was underscoring what you're saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that, and then when you do it from the bottom board, if you get like one dead bee in front of where you're putting it in, it turns into Mount oxalic acid on that bee.
Yeah,
none of it
crystallizes right away.
And the other thing is if you have a frame in the way, or if you do it from the back down at the bottom, what if that hot copper pipe hits a piece of wax in the on a frame, on the edge of a frame. You don't know what happens there. You spark it up, But I'm wondering why no one's done anything about doing it from the like a feeder hole. I don't know. I guess you could drill a hole at the top of the hive, and stick the tube in there from the like an Instabap or
whatever. Gus Mitchell does his from the top for that very reason. But you have to be careful at the top. If you don't have a feeder shim on it, you got to make sure you go between the frames, or you're not going to get any penetration into the colony.
Yeah, that's true too. It won't really have time to spread out, but
yeah. Well, that what happens with that OA is as soon as it hits a surface that's cooler than its vaporization point, it recrystallizes. That's why it works. That's why it works. So yes, if it hits something that's very near that opening, it starts crystallizing immediately, and you'll get a mound of it right away.
I guess the way I think about it, going from the top, you're blowing it down in a very specific area.
You're correct.
Yeah, so you might need a shim. Where at the bottom is almost, it kind of goes everywhere, and then up if it's going to go up. Yeah, that's the way I see it. And I know Andrew, every time he sees me run a video about treating with OA, he sends me a message that says, you have to start blocking off the entrance. He says 10 minutes, which might be overkill, but he figures I should be blocking the entrance off just to keep the bees from, blowing it back out. He said, you want to keep it in there as long as you can, so then it can, gather on the bees. He finds like he's crazy, is what he is, but he keeps he tests things one way or the other, just endlessly, and he comes up with
the best scientists are crazy.
Yeah. well, Cameron Jack, I went into his presentation today, and he was talking about the effects of what the oxalic vapor does inside the box, and no matter if you do it from the top or from the bottom, as it expands, as it supplements or vaporizes, however you want to call it, it comes up and it just just overwhelms the entire box. It doesn't really matter to him. He figures of which way it goes, if I understood him correctly today, because there was even a question on how does the oxalic acid vaporizations work on those horizontal hives, other than just the Langsdorff hives. So, and so if I understood him correctly, it's just that it will go in and it will go and it'll just fill up the whole cavity and it'll settle in from there on top of the bees. But he couldn't answer. He doesn't want to really answer either, because I was asking him the question, just exactly what is happening. Why does this oxalic acid kill the mite but doesn't harm the bee? And the science still doesn't really explain that, at least to what I can understand. There's different theories, including one, I guess, that just came out at Apammonia just this year, where they talk about how the vapor lands on the mite, and it creates a chemistry reaction where the heart of the mite just stops beating and it kills them. So there's that. There's grooming behavior. There's different theories as to why the mite dies but not the bee. So it was a very interesting talk, and I'm actually looking forward to his part 2 of this presentation tomorrow. He talks at 3:00, I think, tomorrow, which I have every intentions of showing up for, because we got to figure this out.
I wonder if one of you guys over there could do like a pirate video. Do they not allow cell phones in these speaking engagements, or what? I mean, just hold a video up or a camera up and
get booted out.
All the videos,
out
all
of 3,000 people, you'd be the only one.
Though.
Yeah. They're giving us all the presentations as part of our ticket price this year.
Yeah.
One of the theories that I heard was that, mites smell from the bottom of their feet, or taste and smell, I think. And so as they're walking across the surface of wherever they're at inside the hive after it's been applied, OA's been applied, it burns them. It's like what Corey was saying, kind of a chemical reaction, but it really just kind of burns them from the outside in. But I did recently hear about what what Corey said about giving the mite a heart attack. I mean, that's awesome. But there's all kinds of theories.
As long as it's the kiss of death.
Yeah. I mean, they'll starve, obviously, if they're
Randy showed that in a presentation recently. I saw about the heart, and I called it a heart attack, but whatever, I don't care. It was the mite's heart changed. It started slowing down or something.
Yeah.
So it seems like that might be it. And it was just a touch. They said they just touched that mite with the acid, and right away heart started slowing down. And the crystals don't really touch the bee as much as they sit on those hairs.
The hairs,
the crystals collect on those hairs, so they don't really touch the bee as much. And Randy did a lot of testing to see how much acid is left on the bees over time, and how much it takes to really harm the bees or kill them. And it's pretty interesting research there. And he did make the point that he said if oxalic acid, it's in the dihydrate crystal form, and if there's no moisture, it doesn't burn. Like you can spill it on your clothes or something, it's fine. You put water on it and it's going to burn through, right?
Right.
And that's why you get it on your hand, it'll burn your hand, because your skin is always a bit moist.
Well, I did a short of a mite crawling around a quarter, kind of to show its scale. But what that short didn't show, because it's 60 seconds long, when that mite crawled off that quarter onto the counting board, crawled through a little bit of oxalic acid, it died a horrible death, and that was beautiful to watch.
Yay. There was much rejoicing.
That's right. Well, hello, Brian.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, where have I seen you
Welcome,
before?
Ryan.
I want to jump in and ask Ian a question, if that's okay. Ian, I heard your comment about Andrew Munn on your previous video, and you just restated it. Is he making that comment to you based on any data or experiences, or is he falling back on the recommended application strategy that they because what he's telling you is how they recommend to do it, right? But does he have any data that backs up that claim?
Oh, Andrew has data with everything.
He's a data guy.
Yeah, he's a data guy. He actually tells me, those crack spoons, the old way of doing it. He tells me that it was probably the most effective way of dropping mites. And he's always told me that the Provaps, so I mean, inconsistent.
But again, where does his belief come from? Is it based on his experience? Is it based on
yeah,
data?
like he has 50. I don't mean to be speaking for him. I shouldn't be speaking for him, but he does have 50 colonies back, and he's running all these little trials and everything. So everything he does is based on experience, and it's all data driven for sure.
That'd be an interesting little field study, because I get where you're coming from, is needing to be time efficient, but you want to maximize your time as well. So like, which is the best? Is it better to save that time and blow through them all, or is it better to have another person going by and like pulling stuff 10 minutes later? So
if he's watching this, he's probably throwing stuff at the computer. Says, "Ian, be quiet. You're gonna turn again now." He's pretty used to that, though. Yeah, and with this, like the supplement that he's developed, and we've been kind of collaborating together.
Yep.
Everything he does, he's pulling. He just doesn't do it for no reason. He pulls science that's published science, and he's pulling it into application is what he's doing. And he's trying to make that science, apply it, and we're trying to see if it's actually going to result into something. And so it's just kind of an ongoing type of trial is what we're doing. And he's tweaks it here, tweaks it there, more science, brings it in just like that. It's really fun to be just collaborating with him. He's the brains and I'm the bees. So he's got this. Oh, I don't know how much I should say of this. He's maybe I'll just stop.
You and the camera.
He might just jump in.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching.
Only 250
See any
people
rabbits
in
going
the
down that hole?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting because Man Lake just called me. They're down at the expo, and they're putting some of the rocket fuel in their patties right now too. So Andrew's probably struck a deal with them, and they want to just get first-hand experience of somebody who uses it. And I'm a guy who uses it. I have nothing to do with his business. He's the business guy, but I'm gonna have Andrew there just to, if I'm talking about it, just to help, because I have a terrible time talking about the science behind what this actually. All these little ingredients and the balance of it, and how he's trying to set it's a prebiotic, so you're trying to set the plate in a way to promote the microbial growth, and it's the microbes, we think, that's actually ones that convert the nutrients into usable form and such. And then with that, you got to feed the microbes at the balance of nutrients coming in. It's just a real complicated mix and how things work. So.
And he talks epigenetics, and I find that epigenetic conversation fascinating, and I don't quite follow it completely, but still it's so amazing. So
Andrew's so crazy that he's redone his webpage because he gets so many questions in regards to all this stuff. So he's spelling it out on his webpage and exactly what all this does, and then he's putting the recipe of the product on there. So, I mean, anybody could rip it off if they want, I suppose, but he's going to have it all there because he's a full-time. He says the contribution that he wants to make impact. So if he can put more information out there for people to be able to use, then maybe we might be able to use it into something more useful, because he says, this, what we have here, we're on to the next stage, Ian, anyway. So let's just keep this engine going. But g'day, James.
How are you doing?
Good.
Dr. Evil.
Anybody found it, Bobby, with that man-like pre-mixed rocket fuel? I thought I saw that in the bag form and not in the patty form, but their website only has patty. Did I miss a picture or
in the bag? It's probably in the patty form. I don't.
It was just patty.
That's interesting.
Well,
I don't know
if anybody
like yesterday was the first time I heard of it. Andrew's been doing a bunch of business dealings with them, I guess. But I thought it was in the patty form. I could be wrong though. Yeah, I could be.
Well, I was hoping it was in the bag form. You can mix it yourself, because patty's nice, except for when you gotta ship it and mix.
That's a good point. I'm not sure. Yeah, you'd have to ask Andrew about those specifics. Yeah. Is that your bee barn?
I am in the bee barn. You betcha. So
did you fix your door?
Oh yeah, that only cost us what? Well, I think by the time everything was said and done, about the lock was $250. The cameras were an additional $500. So by the time everything is said and done, it cost me about $1,200 there on Tuesday.
They broke the cameras too.
They stole them. They took them.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah. So we're out here kind of. I'll see if I can spin this camera around. And we're out here just kind of weighing to see what the damage was because we lost a pile of bees. Let's see. How do I do this?
You need to put a Belgian Malinois around your shed.
You know what?
They didn't.
They didn't get out of here scot-free. So let me, I will say that for sure. But here's the back camera. So let's see. Did I do that right?
Mm-hmm.
Black.
Yep. It's pretty dark.
Can you you got your phone on you there, Alan? We're just gonna get a flashlight here for you.
Get him to turn the bright light on.
How about no?
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see if we can make this work for you. So, he went and locked himself out.
It's like, see you later.
So we definitely lost a few, but as you can see, these ones aren't doing too bad yet. So, but there's a few of them that these were all hives that were opened up, but you come over to these ones and they're done. They're gone, finished. So a little bit of a cluster in there, but so yeah, we got hit pretty hard. But let me see if I'll go outside here if Alan can show his light. But I don't know if you guys can see this. Those are all dead bees that all flew out when the door was all open.
Oh,
jeez.
Oh no.
It.
How long was it open?
All
night.
5:21 is when we got the notification, and I was out here about 6:20, so an hour.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So
like sickening.
that sucks, James. I'm sorry. I think all of us feel that.
We hold grudges, man.
Yeah.
So.
Too bad the shed wasn't colder. It might have kept him a little bit tighter. Eh?
I was going to say my alarm system is set up really, really sensitive here right now, so I just keep getting all sorts of notifications. See if I can flip this back around.
How cold is it where you're at right now, James? I mean,
how do I do
like what Ian was saying, wasn't there enough cold
air?
Did I
lose everybody?
No,
I think I lost.
No, we got you.
Oh, there you are. So yeah, that's kind of what we're up here tonight. So we got all new cameras installed, inside, outside, whole new lock on the door, fixed the door jamb, lost a bunch of bees. So, the funny part is how I know they didn't get out unscathed is they didn't take everything. So there's a bunch of stuff that was right by the door, and I don't know if Charlie's on, but they didn't even take a hive lifter. So I know it wasn't Charlie.
So it wasn't very good.
So,
Talk about a silver lining.
yeah, I don't know. It's disheartening. You know, you work so hard to build something up. That,
Well, they should be easy to catch, though. You should be able to follow the line of crap that they left behind when they were getting
build her back up.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think James heard that one.
I think I lost him.
No.
Yeah, I lost him.
No, you're here.
We see you, James.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a bummer.
That's terrible. I hate that.
God, I don't think I ever heard of the bees ever being stolen out of a shed before. You know, you hear about it in the almond pollination, but out of a shed? Holy wow.
Did they steal the bees? I didn't catch that part.
Oh, maybe I misheard something then.
No, I don't think he stole the bees.
Sounded like equipment.
Else.
Just the equipment, and they left the door open.
You had to know the equipment was there, and that sounds.
They put a nice fence around that place and put a Belgian Malinois in there, and problem solved. Someone comes walking in there at 5 a.m, they'll get chewed up.
Yeah,
Just run a bear fence around the inside so they don't see it. They open up and come in and get zapped.
And lots of cameras, Todd, for that solution too, because that'd be highly entertaining.
Yes. Oh yes, it would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would.
Well, just a few days ago, Todd, you were saying put cats in the barn. Now that's not going to be work with the.
Well, that's a different problem.
Oh
that's,
no! You know, people debate cats and dogs. Dogs will go in a burning building to drag you out. Cats, stuff cart starts going down. That cat is gone. Right? You're on your own, Charlie. Get him out of here.
So, took care of all those rats, and then you brought a dog in on me.
I have a question for the people
earlier. You should try again because we're limited to 10. There we go.
I have a question for everyone at the conference or conferences. Is anybody going to talk about Tropalelos?
Not here.
No, not here. Not at NAHBE. No. They are going to talk about yellow-legged hornets tomorrow, though.
Yeah, they'll probably talk about that at American Bee Federation.
Yeah, Sammy Ramsey's going to be there, so he's one of the keynotes. I think he's just updating everybody on his research. And I'm going to ABF too, so it'll be fun to get the kind of comparison between the two. And what I'll do is I'm packing up all my stuff in my truck. And I'm seeing what space I have left in the truck, so I can do a little shopping at ABF too.
Kind of glad you didn't swing by and pick me up. I would probably be strapped to the top of your truck.
That's right. Yep. In fact, yesterday, I have buddies from Colorado that are out here. They called me up in a panic because they over-purchased. So they're like, do you have any room in your truck? So I went over. I put some stuff in the back of my truck, and then they figured it out. And then we switched stuff back. So,
boy, those guys at the trade show are just going to love that, making sales, eh?
Yeah,
guys spending money.
Got to be massive.
You can barely walk the aisles half the time.
So, and it's so big. Like there are people I haven't even seen yet that I know are there that I want to see. Mm-hmm. So, I had a great conversation today. I got to go out to lunch with Eugene Makovic and the ex lady who organized the state master beekeeping program for Colorado. So she's written for ABF before. She's actually there at the conference to do some articles for ABF. And I keep calling it ABF, but it's ABJ. And I was about ready to go to lunch today, and I walked right by her, and she said, Brian, that was the first time I saw her. So I went over, talked to her, and she's like, well, I'm going to lunch with Eugene Makovic. Do you want to come? And I was like, heck yeah, I do. So I got to meet him, had a nice little conversation with him. So that's what I'm here for, getting to meet all those people. Man, I got to shake Philip's hand, Phil's hand. I got to see Tom Maccabee's. Like last year, I nerded out on like shaking people like Ian's hand. This year, I'm talking to all you guys, right? And just networking and having fun with all that. Like I met Dry Cut, he was there. Just all these guys on the chat. It's fun to meet.
You seen Charlie?
We went out to dinner. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I must have checked out.
Yep, we went out to dinner
didn't
tonight.
hear you on that. I'm having audio issues with my beautiful laptop here.
So I made a new best friend here. From I bought the extractor from Better Bee to save $300 in shipping, and so I went over there and I talked to the lady. She said, "Yeah, meet us at the truck dock behind the building at 2:45 or whatever," and that was like 20 minutes away. And then I was kind of late getting back there, so guys, this place is so massive. Driving around the building to a truck dock in the back, you go back there and there's like a set of truck docks over here, another set over here, another set over here, and you get confused, have to drive around an arena to get there. It's crazy. So when I got back there, I was like, I can't figure this out. I'm just going to go back into the exhibition hall and reset. Well, I get a call, and it's Dr. David Peck calling me. Where are you? And I've got a PhD loading my extractor, so I can't figure out where he is. He can't figure out where I am. I have to drive around to the front of the building. He walks all the way around this massive building. And finally we get together and he gets in the car with me and we drive and he shows me how to get back to the truck dock. We get ready. We lift it up into the back of my wife's Honda Pilot and it's like 2 inches from fitting. So now we got to break it out of the box. He has to go back into the center, get a screwdriver so we can unscrew it off the pallet, tear the box. It took over 30 minutes, I know, to do all this. And at the end of it, he won't forget me. I knew who he was already, but he's like, who is this idiot? But now he was really nice about it. And I said, I always heard Better Bee had good customer service, but this takes the cake.
But you didn't see from my videos how well that licensed equipment comes packed, like in crates. I mean,
if it slid in there, it would have been beautiful. But yeah, we had to take everything off of it. It fit fine after that. But yeah, it was really packed well. There was the box that came in, and then that inside of that box was stuffed with about probably not less than 12 other boxes. And some of those boxes had date on it
too. People have been sometimes asking questions. I've been wondering about this, and I don't think we've had anybody here commenting. Certainly not on the screen. Who's been attending the Hive Life down there?
Here you go, Brian.
So do we have? Sorry.
Oh, Brian Flower is sitting in the kids' rocking chairs.
Yeah, that's Phil's background.
I haven't heard.
Right? Yeah.
I haven't heard today.
It's kind of small.
How the how Hive Life is going. So I'll have to see if I can find out tomorrow. Obviously, it's not as big as NAHBE is, and the people that are going there typically are not YouTube crowd. They might watch YouTube, but they're it's a different thing going on right there. So
yeah.
Now, some of the pictures I did see some people posting of Hive Life and the convention for the vendor area. They have the vendor area and all the speakers are all in the same room.
Ooh. It's too bad that they don't I think 2 would be great, but obviously 2 at the same time is not,
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Ideal situation.
Nobody wins there.
If you think about it, if you have 2 separate dates, maybe a month apart, maybe a couple of weeks apart, it would benefit the beekeeping public and then also the vendors, keep everybody happy. And I hope in the future that they could do something like that because it would be great for, everybody all the way around, speakers, vendors, and just people coming.
Yeah, I would agree with that because this is my first time attending one of these conventions, and the thing that I'm going to take home the most is the wealth of information that's being shared to us who are, you know, relatively new to the beekeeping industry. There's just so much being shared by both the people in academics as well as the experience. You know, Bob Binney talks so much about the knowledge, but he also talks so much about the art. You know, and you see that when you talk to several individuals on one-on-one, and all beekeepers, you know, could use that kind of help. And that kind of information and that kind of sharing of knowledge.
And, you know, it could help out people who might, oh, I can't make it this week. It's too bad both of them are this week, you know. Hey, I can make it, you know, the first week of February, but just not this week. So if it was a scenario like that, it'd be awesome. I think it would be beneficial all the way around. And I certainly hope that it doesn't become a competition, because that's not what it should be. It should be an educational experience, and it should be an experience that people coming can listen to the speakers they want to listen to, look at products that they want to look at, buy what they want to buy. I think it would just be a disservice if it became a competition between this conference and that conference. That's just
who's going to blink first.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Well,
I
I
would
think
hope
we
it
all-
wasn't no decisions. I don't know why decisions are made, but I would hope it wouldn't be a, you know, any kind of a competitive thing on why things were done that way. It's because I agree with you, Todd. Nobody wins. Nobody wins when there's this. The vendors don't. The speakers don't. The public doesn't. You know, when there's conflicts like that, and you can't. I mean, scheduling conflicts. I mean, then you can't take in the other thing, because, like you said, it's a different kind of a format, right? It's a different. The speakers are of a different type. And I wouldn't say a different caliber or anything like that, but, you know, more academics perhaps, and less, you know, YouTube stars and stuff like that. So it's really unfortunate, and I've heard a lot of people say that they really wish that there wasn't a scheduling conflict that way. Can't be in two places at one time, right? Simple as that.
Plus, then they can load all their vehicles up twice.
Yeah, and you can find out what you can fit in your truck for next time.
If you didn't buy it this week, go next week and you can get it.
Because, you know, in my case, for example, if one had been next weekend, then maybe I could go, because I couldn't go this time. I couldn't drive before today, you know, because of my medical reasons. So there was no way for that to happen. So if there was another one next weekend, then I could do it.
And you know,
for the two conferences, right? And Phil's going to go to Betterbee, and he's going to buy something too big for his vehicle. He's going to be like, Doctor, here, take your part. You take half to the next conference. I'll pick up that. Right?
Good point. Good point.
You know, another thing to point out is, for me, I have to haul all the way from the West Coast, almost all the way to the East Coast. And I'm not saying anything bad about location, but boy, it certainly would be nice if it was centralized. Or
like Dallas.
or you know, okay, we have NAHBE this month. How about next month you have a West Coast version of it? Because I guarantee you there's a ton of people that would go to it that are from the West Coast that don't want to make a trip to Kentucky or Tennessee, wherever it may be, because of the distance and the cost and stuff like that. It may not be as big, but I guarantee it to be a huge success. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. But maybe a NAHBE Part 2 or something, you know, or hive life, whatever.
I think done in respect and not, you know, not trying to badmouth anybody, put anybody down. I think all feedback is worthwhile to everybody who's organizing and running and managing events like this, because really it's about the people that go, right? You can organize whatever you want, but if you stand there all by yourself in an empty room, it's not going to, you know, do any good. So it's really the feedback and whatnot from the people that go and the people who couldn't go. Right?
Yeah. And I do
all feedback.
And I do understand it's an enormous undertaking. I mean, it takes months and months of preparation. So I do get that. But, a centralized location wouldn't be such a bad idea. Just thinking out loud. I still wanted to go, though. Work has gotten a little crazy, so I couldn't go.
Well, we could have had 5,000 instead of 3,000 if they just centralized.
I'd love to see Phil the Bee Man at the next Cayman conference.
Oh,
that'd be great to have
absolutely.
a speaker there.
Yeah.
Phil, I love your stuff.
They just need to change the name to Cayman Con.
Nightly.
Yeah.
Cayman Con. Yeah.
That's it. Instead of Comic Con, it's just Cayman Con.
Yeah.
I think Brad answered Phil's question just a little bit earlier. Maybe say that again, Brad. What's the difference between this expo and the other association meetings? What difference do you see? Putting you on the spot again.
Well, mostly the speakers, and again, I wouldn't say the caliber of speakers, because I think they both have very high caliber speakers. But kind of bouncing off what Bob just said, Cayman Con. You think about that big convention, the Comic Con that they have. It's where all the sci-fi fans get to meet their heroes, right? And there's plenty of that at NAHBE, and great, because that's really what draws a lot of people. I mean, the trade show too, but we all want to network. We all want to meet. We all want to meet Ian. We all want to meet, Bob and Todd and King Bob and each other.
Throw your name in there too, Brad.
What's that?
I said, throw your name in that list too.
Certainly. That's
right.
That's absolutely
I don't know
right.
if I can handle that.
I think Ian,
Hive Life this year, they've got a lot of academics. They've got a lot of really, really good speakers, in my opinion, that I would love to hear.
And
it's not the same. It's not the same thing. It's the same days. So that's the problem. It's not. It's not a carbon copy. It's not a repeat.
I think Ian pointed out in a chat a week ago or so that Cayman has tapped into something by really including the hobbyist and the sideliner. It's not just commercial beekeepers and academic, which a lot of the other conferences cater to. And there's so many more sideliners and hobbyists that was a huge draw. And he's been able to maintain a certain number of commercial beekeepers in there. As a matter of fact, one of the seminars I want to go see tomorrow is Chris Werner. He's going to talk about the logistics of running a 4,500 colony operation. And I'll never do that, but I am really interested in hearing that talk. That's going to be really fun to go to.
The other thing is he got the buy-in from all the vendors too, right? So people are going there and paying for their ticket with what they're saving, right? And so when I go, I'm usually a vendor at my local association meetings and whatnot, and other vendors show up and it's 10% off, or you get free shipping off of regular price, But you look at the NAHBE page and the sales and everything. That's a driver right there,
Yeah.
Yeah, he pushes pretty hard.
Trip.
Well, I think it's cool that you can look at a hand crank extractor and then walk 50 feet and look at a full line Cowan setup in the same space. You don't see that in most places.
I think it's mindset a little bit, because I was at a meeting down in January, and very nice people, but I asked them where they going to NAHBE, and their perception was, well, isn't that just for hobbyists and sideliners, right? So the perception, I still get the feeling that not everybody, but it's like I like to call them commercial elitists. It's that, we've got this many colonies, we're better than you, or more successful than you. We don't have time to work with you, right? That's kind of the mindset the vibe I get from them. And still nice people, not personally, but it's just, that's kind of a turnoff to a guy that's got 1 or 2 colonies or 4, you know. And when you come on our live streams here on YouTube, you know, Ian's got 1,500 colonies. The other night we had a guy that had 4 colonies, and we've had people that just want to get into beekeeping. So, and I think that's kind of where NAHBE, formerly Hive Life, that's where it started, right? It started with the YouTube crowd of the backyard sideliner, and there's a lot of us. So they've kind of incorporated that. And I think a lot of the associations, like this one that I went to in January, most everybody there had 1,000 colonies. So it's almost like they didn't have time for the smaller guy. Now I think it's, in talking with some people from ABF, now they're like, well, hey, how do we incorporate that? Well, it's easy. You got to reach the people. And the only way you're going to do that is start doing more things like this, where you're reaching them. You're not reaching them right now because they don't want, a lot of people don't want to go sit in that conversation that Philip was just talking about with 40. Well, I'm never going to have 4,500 colonies in my backyard. So they just fail to participate, I think. And at Hive Life or NAHBE, they feel like, hey, we're part of the team. You know, it's an inclusive atmosphere. And I think that's where a lot of associations may be missing the mark a little bit.
I don't know, like I'm sure all those are very good points, but let's start dreaming this NAHBE idea up, or even Hive Live or the Hive Conference, you know. I always got the impression
4 years ago.
Yeah, but I just always got the impression that he just wants us all to be successful. They want to see us all with healthy, vibrant hives, colonies. You know, so there's information being shared just to make us all better beekeepers, and I guess that's the way I view it the most. Of these conferences.
Well, you get that from the local associations. I've never been to an association meeting where there's anything, you know, but that. That's the whole drive, you know. State bee inspectors are there, you know. They definitely want you to succeed. It's quite literally their job, you know.
Yeah. I've been watching Cayman for a lot of 4 years or so since I started watching YouTube and keeping bees, and he's always said that a problem he has with a lot of commercial beekeepers is they tend to not really want to talk to the hobbyists and the sideliners. If you don't have at least 500 colonies, they just kind of ignore you. And he took that personally early on, and he sort of gravitated towards larger beekeepers who don't mind talking to him, and by extension, other beekeepers, which it's Bob Benny, and through Bob Benny, people like Chris.
There's a lot of different concerns at different points, and I don't know we should carry this kind of progression on too far, but for one thing, when you're targeting hobby and sideliners, well, hobbyists specifically can do something that I can't do. They can go and find a product at whatever, at the store or at a convention or somewhere and say, wow, I like the look of that product and I think that might help and I'm going to buy that. Well, I have to throw in there, will it make me money? Right? A hobbyist doesn't have to do that. Now, they may choose to do that, but it's a hobby. They don't have to do that. On the other hand, on the other hand, I'm freed up in such a way that I can say, there's a $2,000 hive lifter. That'll do this, this, and this for me. And it's a business, it's a business expense. It's part of my business. I'm going to lay down $2,000 for the hive lifter. Whereas a hobbyist may go, gee, that's a lot of dough for lifting boxes. right? But it's not that they're going to say, well, that doesn't make, well, it's a capital cost, so I can depreciate it over 5 years, and if it makes me this much and it saves me that much on my taxes and all kinds of stuff. The hobby's not going through that, right? So you can sell hobbyist stuff that you can't sell maybe a commercial or even a sideliner. And I'm not bad mouthing or putting anything down. It's just sometimes there's different considerations. Commercial beekeeper wants to talk just as much about the price of honey as they do want to talk about the latest mite treatment. Hobbyists don't care what the commodity price of honey is. They may say that they don't really care for the fact that there's adulterated honey coming in from overseas. Well, yeah. But really, that works for them because they can say, yeah, you buy it on the shelf. It's garbage honey. You should buy my honey, local honey. Whereas commercial beekeeper has a lot more skin in that game to keep that out. And they pay big money to keep the regulators on their toes to keep that stuff out. So there is a lot of difference that I think sometimes it might look like conceit, whereas a commercial beekeeper might not relate even. So if I don't relate to somebody, then I can't really talk to them on whatever they need to talk about sometimes. And honestly, in the hobbyists I deal with, and I like dealing with hobbyists, I do have a hard time relating. Somebody's asking me about wintering, how do they wrap their hives to winter their bees? And I'm just looking at them, well, I have no idea. I don't know how to do that. I mean, I'm exaggerating. I kind of do, but I have almost no experience, right? So they've been doing it for 3 years, and they have 3 years more experience doing it than I do. So I think sometimes that might come across as, well, you're just a hobbyist. I don't, but that's not it at all. I cannot relate to their paradigm because
you're exactly right. You're exactly right about the mindset, Brad, because I think also on YouTube, a hobbyist is a lot more likely to want to watch you keep bees, and they also don't mind watching you build lids or watching another large beekeeper cut the heads off of sunflower seeds or go hunting with their children. Because we think about things. That's entertainment to us as well. It's just not all business, all beekeeping all the time. So that's the whole broad net.
Exactly. So like when I was at that show, I was asking, hey, do you watch YouTube beekeeping? I would say 95% of the guys at that particular association meeting said, no, don't have time for it. Or, I think everybody's got a little time, but it's, they didn't. I mean, so it's definitely two different audiences, right?
There's also
all about their 18-wheeler, and they'll tell you exactly how the custom paint job and their chrome toolbox underneath the thing. They want to always talk about their truck, which is fine, but it's just a different paradigm, right? They don't. The hobbyist wants to talk about screen bottom board, and the commercial beekeeper wants to talk about how many hives he can get on his deck, right?
Well, that, and then also, if you have a hobbyist or a sideliner that comes up and is talking to a commercial beekeeper with many thousands of colonies, and the commercial beekeeper says a management practice that they do not particularly like, and then it's like, well, you don't actually know. I have 2 colonies, and let me tell you how beekeeping works.
That's another topic.
So sometimes it's
what do you call those things? Rabbit holes?
So we have 4 people at NAHBE, right? So I just want to let you guys I just want to see what other people are doing here. So what you're missing out on, right? So I was out in the winter framing a house today. And now tonight I'm batting down some mead. We know Ian is on his phone all day yesterday and today, so we don't even need to hear from him. We know what he's doing. Brad, what have you been doing?
I made $1,000 worth of deliveries to my stores today.
Nice.
And I didn't even have a driver's license for half of the day, so I did pretty good. that
Brad,
was
that's more than I spent today. Not by much.
All I need to know, Brad, is that
Yeah. What else?
Brad, am I getting my 6 a.m. Weekly dose of Brad tomorrow morning?
It'll be there, my friend.
All right.
It'll be very interesting, but it'll be there.
That's all right. It's a habit.
So
I want to go back to that talking to people.
Alternative to NAHBE.
I wanted to go back to talking to people on different levels. It really is a skill set to remember where you were and be able to talk to different people on different levels. And a lot of times when people come up to me and they ask for my advice, my responses aren't always the same based on who that person is in front of me. Like, I'm not going to suggest to a second-year beekeeper that they overwinter a 5-frame nuke. I can do it, and I know other people can do it, but I'm not going to make that suggestion to a new beekeeper. However, someone that's got the experience under their wings to get to that, I would talk to them about something like that. And it's hard to remember those steps that you went through to get to where you're at now. If it was a long journey,
I have.
Yeah, but it's a skill set. It's a really important skill set if you're going to be a teacher, to understand those different levels of how you talk to people. And also, related to that, the times when you have conversations with people and you just nod your head and you don't try to convince them of anything, like those second, third-year beekeepers. I was that one too, where I'm going to get on my soapbox and I'm going to tell you what I believe.
At the top of the Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah. And I've learned that, there's some people that you're not going to convince, you're not going to change their mind. So I'm just going to nod my head. And if they come to me at some point ready to have that conversation, I'll have that conversation with them. But I'm not going to.
A question isn't really a question.
Yeah.
And you can usually tell.
Yeah.
One of my old bosses told me, and it always resonated, there's 3 types of questions, right? There's people that want to know genuinely, people that want you to know what they know, and people want to know how much you know.
Yeah. That's good advice, I think.
There's a reason a person has 2 ears and 1 mouth.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Well said.
That's like an old Native American proverb.
And the ratio should be more than 2 to 1, actually.
It should be. It should be. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think we can move on from that. That's quite a rabbit hole, but
we're off the road.
But, I mean, to wrap that up though, and to do a shameless compliment, these kind of live chats really embody that magic that Cayman has bottled, because it is different people on all different levels talking to each other like we're just another human being, right? And that's what these chats really replicate well, that Cayman's really figured out how to represent, that not all the live chats or YouTube information really present. So this, like it was awesome. I get to meet all these other guys that I just see in the comments, and Bob and Charlie and Lee and Brad. You guys do a tremendous job of facilitating these conversations to welcome everybody. Okay. And that's what Cayman's done. And that's what you guys are doing here. And that's why he's been so successful, because everybody's a beekeeper and everybody just wants to talk to each other.
And I don't think we need to forget that it was, Phil's question, Phil the Bee Man's question is, he either gave us a lot to chew on and a great topic to talk about, or he just really trolled us. I don't know which, but
yeah, I have my feeling. I know what it is. He's just sticking his finger in my side.
I respect both of those things, though.
We would have respected more if you would have clicked the link and sent it in person, though.
Yeah.
Don't hide behind the keyboard, Phil.
See, Phil was the chairperson of the association back quite a while ago too. So he put on a lot of these association meetings, and he understands exactly what they're all about. And a lot of them, it is just like Brad and others are saying here. It's business. I mean, as an association, we're members of the association because this is our livelihoods, right? So we're coming to these associations to talk about the issues and the politics of it, and the function of the association itself, and representing the government, and all this kind of stuff is kind of brought into there. But I think at the same time, some of the associations forget that these are actually bee meetings, and beekeepers love to talk about bees. So let's get people in there to talk about bees, because that's what beekeepers want to do, because around the table they're talking about bees, right? So bring somebody in to talk about those bees. So that's something that Brad and I have been trying to do within our association. Is we have the issue, and we have the politics at hand and all this stuff, the business stuff there, but we still try to bring people in that talk about bees. So then it kind of feeds that appetite too. It's a real hard balance, because you guys are spelling it out just perfectly here. You have different demographics, and it's hard to mesh those demographics together because we're different skill sets and different interests and just different personalities. And you talk to some of these big beekeepers, they have personalities that don't mesh with just the sideline or the hobby beekeeper, because they're on a different wavelength, and we shouldn't really expect those beekeepers to mesh together. So maybe it's not a bad thing to have subsets.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
like you look at American Bee Federation. Yeah. Why would they want to replicate something Cayman's doing? Because they have a totally different audience. They're going to lose their entire like there's beekeepers that fly across the country to go to ABF because they want to talk about the issues and the business at hand and stuff like that. They still inject the interest of beekeeping, but you look at what Cayman's doing. Like, he's not going to achieve. Like, I talk to Cayman a lot, and he wants to achieve, but he's not going to be able to achieve what he's doing here by bringing in all of ABF. It's just not going to work. So maybe it's good to have these little subsets, right? Like within our province, even we have like our association meeting, which is fine, but we have all these little regional associations too that just kind of stir up all this energy. And that's a good thing, I think, because it just allows engagement.
I remember when I started, and I think this kind of speaks to, having subsets. I was started when I started. I was a small beekeeper, and well, I wasn't a small beekeeper. I just didn't have very many bees. I was never a small beekeeper.
Oh man, you could have left that out there for one of us to say, Brad. Take that from us.
But I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. I really didn't know anything. And I would start talking to beekeepers, and I'd talk to anybody I could talk to. And it was clear pretty quickly in that exercise that I needed to determine what the other beekeepers' goals and objectives were, because there was so many different ones, right?
Yeah.
And even though I didn't have very many bees, I aspired and I wanted to, be a commercial beekeeper, even though I didn't want to be a large commercial operation. So I decided that I had to talk to, and I would talk to anybody, but who would I really take the most from, and who would I seek out would be the Ian's of the world, because, Ian's operation is 10 times the size of mine. But I learned pretty fast that people like Ian, I share goals and objectives. Going to be commercial, going to make some money, going to, and you can share kind of approaches with different people, but to share those goals, for me in that context, to talk to a hobbyist that's been keeping bees for 15 years, that was fine, and I could learn a lot from that person. However, there was kind of a ceiling there. It was like, okay, I can learn a lot about mite controls. I can learn a lot about nutrition and all these, bee behavior and all this kind of stuff. But then it's sort of like, well, how do you manage 2,500 pounds of wax a year? Can't help you, right? So then you start talking 2,500 pounds, like 200 pounds, I should say, but 200 pounds of wax to a hobbyist, that's a lot of wax. So that was just a stupid example, but I think you get what I'm saying, that there's just certain components that you need that person with that different experience. How do I learn from a hobbyist who produces 200 pounds of honey a year? How do I learn how best to get into the retail market of selling honey? Well, I don't, right? Because that's not what they do. So it's just a different way to manage their business, manage their hobby, manage their bees and stuff like that. So it's not that there's anybody bigger or smarter or more important or worth listening to, worth talking to. It has nothing to do with that, in my opinion. It's link up with what you need to learn with different people.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, even in our chats, though, I mean, I think you and I have struck up pretty good friendship. And you bounce stuff off of me, and I've got a quite a bit smaller operation than you. I think mostly it's like to see what wall I'm going to run into. Hey, Bob, do this. Let's see if it works, or if you lose the colony. He's gambling with house money, is what he's doing.
Do this and see if it kills them.
Hey, Bob, let's see if this works.
Yeah,
but,
well, mostly because we become friends and we talk quite a bit. I've been fascinated learning the difference in just our climates, like your climate to my climate. Like,
Absolutely.
what do you get? Because you sit here in a climate that is quite often colder than Mars, and you think nobody has a harder time managing bees over the winter season than I have because I live in Winnipeg. And then I see people in Florida and South Carolina and stuff, and their bees are dying in the winter. I'm thinking, what's the matter with you people? Can't you do anything? It's warm there.
And
but
then he realized I couldn't do
anything. You get over that little ego thing, and you realize, you know what? You guys have some really distinct challenges that I don't have. I have some real deadline things that I need to accomplish in the fall: mite treatments, nutrition, feeding, stores. But by the time the end of October comes, the door closes on my management, and I go back to that in March or April. Whereas you need to keep turning dials and flipping switches all winter, and it is not the same every winter, right?
I fed 1-to-1 last week, Brad.
Defined.
Yeah,
my season is so well defined, and my honey flow is so well defined, right, and reliable, kind of thing. It's nothing like what you guys are doing. I don't think I'd keep these if I live where you guys do.
Which
I'll tell you what.
Energy
hold on a second.
Goes away, right? It just transforms, right? So when you're going south to north and just as across all things, right? It just, the challenges just might be different as you go up. We used to joke about it when because I went to Afghanistan and things, and you'd be like, oh, thank God I didn't go to fucking Iraq, and then everybody in Iraq's like, well, thank God I didn't go to Afghanistan. I was like, it's the same crap, it's just different.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what
I started to learn, like, what are the challenges in those other areas, because there's got to be challenges.
When I watch you guys, Ian and Brad, I admire you and what you do, but when you guys get into the end of April and the 1st of May, and you're trying to make that decision to leave those bees in the shed or to take them out, I start to panic a little bit because I see what you guys are going through, and that's like high drama.
Here's the secret: we are too.
It's gripping. That's what I can feel it. So I can feel it coming through the screen. I'm sitting here going, and I for 1 second I'm like, get the damn things out of them! Screaming at the screen, at the computer screen. Are you crazy? It's too hot.
It's like
down here.
Spring. Ian and I are texting.
Down here, it's like 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're.
I don't know. It's getting pretty warm.
I'm playing armchair quarterback down here from Texas. That's the fun part right there.
So Ian's doing the same thing to Brad that Brad's doing to Bob. Well, take your time out of the shed for me. Let me know.
Here's what it's kind of flipped my management upside down, because now I'm trying to employ more things that they're doing in Canada down here. No, and people are chuckling. I see that, but what you guys do when you bring them out of the barn, that's the climate I'm in right now. So here we are. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was throwing pollen patties on my colonies because next month, while you guys are all cozy up with your Kraken by the fire, I'm going to be out here trying to make splits, right? So it's adjusting my timing on what I'm doing here and doing things that you guys do at a different time of the year. It's still beekeeping. It's still bees. It's that working backwards from when I need those bees to be ready that I wasn't doing before. And I don't see a lot of people on YouTube or in this area that are doing that, right? They pretty much wait to February. Okay, well, it's middle February. We're getting ready to do some splits. Maybe not put pollen sub on, and let's do this and let's go, right? And I'm trying to get those bees boosted up now so I don't have this little tiny cluster when, like last year, I'm sitting there, well, do I have enough resources to split these? That should not be an issue now. Hopefully, knock on wood, if everything works correctly.
That's what I was doing with Ian when I started beekeeping. He was writing his daily blog on his website, and I found this random guy, and I found this blog. I thought, it's kind of interesting, and it's regular, it's updated and everything. And I realized, and I started reading his spring beekeeping thing, and I realized, okay, well, this guy's in Manitoba, so that's good. It's a similar climate, but he's far enough away from me that he's about a week ahead of me in his management. So I thought, that's perfect. And he's writing down everything he does, right? So that I could just go every day. I go to that thing and read the blog. Oh, okay, hey, do this, and that gives me time to go to the store if I need to, right? Get my stuff, get my sugar, mix and get some patties, get some whatever I need, right? And then I read again. Oh, okay, this is what he's doing. So then I go to the store, or I get things ready and start doing that.
Yeah.
It kind of all went to crap in the fall though, because it flips around. I'm northern. Now
you're lead dog.
So
you're lead dog.
Yeah, it almost really turned into a disaster that first year.
Yeah, you get done doing something, you're like, all right, I did what he did last week. Let's see what he did this week. And you get on there and he's like, everything went south because of what I did last week.
Well, that was a big mistake.
I'm gonna have to say goodnight, guys. I gotta say goodnight to you guys now because he talks early in the morning.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Corey. Appreciate that.
All right, nice to meet you.
It was an awesome conversation, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Come back anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, Corey.
Yeah.
So the lesson from that, what Brad just said, Brian, you need to start writing a weekly blog so I can copy you even on a more timely basis.
So you can stalk me harder.
That's right. Exactly. I had dinner last night with Brian and his friends Matt and Sarah, and Brian he stalked his friend, and I'm just like the second level of stalking. I learned that last night at dinner time.
That's not Matt and Sarah.
Look at there.
These are Matt and Sarah, is it?
Nope. This is a totally different Matt and Sarah.
Yeah, so I've talked about them before. They have a business called Homestead in the Hood. They're here in the Denver metro area as well. They do very similar stuff to us, and they're just great folks. Like Matt and I kind of were like co-mentors to each other. We just sit down once a month and we just talk and process and just do this kind of stuff and talk business just between the two of us. So he's a great buddy of mine. And they're not in the YouTube world. I convinced them after I went to Hive Life last year. I came back beaming with all these stories. So I got them to come this year. But they don't know any of you folks. They don't know the YouTube world. So I'm like introducing them to Charlie online on Thursday as we're going in. They don't know any of these people. They're big Instagram people. They have like 15,000 Instagram followers. So they know that whole world. And but they're great folks. Yeah.
Charlie's jonesing for popcorn over there.
Popcorn tonight.
Shaking from withdrawal.
Yeah, well, you know.
Hey, you better keep it down the hallway there, Charlie. I can hear you.
I I got no bourbon. I got no bourbon either, Charlie.
I'm going to put on the wall here because Lee's next door.
Yeah, he's already sleeping, so you're good.
So Charlie Scuttlebutt, is you bought a lifter? Is that a rumor or what?
Well, I talked to Mike Barry about it, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a B3.
Yeah, that's the one he's got.
No,
That's
he's
a
got
decision.
he's got a B2 with I think there's screws in there that raises it, and he says he wished it had got the hydraulic model.
Okay.
And all that.
Okay. Well, good. I was glad you got to talk to him.
Did you get to talk to Nathan? Doesn't he have the 3 model?
I have not been able. He's always been busy.
Yeah.
Over there, you mean Duck River?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try tomorrow about it.
Okay.
He had some electrical problems with his, but what I was talking to Mike about was I was watching his videos several times about when he was lifting the hives and how he was kind of pushing down on it. And I said, it looked like to me that you had to kind of force it to do certain things. And he said, well, that was because the boxes were stuck together. And he said, once, it breaks the seal, everything, it'll lift up and balance itself. And I said, well, I want to be able to get my honey supers up off of there and then get down into the brood chamber, do what I need to do. He said, that's pretty much what it's designed for, like putting in skateboards and stuff like that. I said, well, and I'm like under supering or something like that with it. And so I think it's talking with him and everything. I think it's going to work well for me. I'm going to take a chance and get it. And all.
So he's moved up to a 2027 purchase instead of 2028.
Yeah, well, it'll be 2024. I'm ready to do it. I just got to talk to Boris.
That's a decision. That's the first time we've heard Charlie say that. I think it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, there's, as Brian, we were at dinner tonight together along with Phil and several other folks. And, there's been a lot of firsts here today. I mean, of course, Brian knows about it. And Phil, I signed my first autograph today.
Oh, good for you.
I did too, Charlie. Was it Joey's hat?
Who?
Was it Joey's hat? Joey Rawls?
Okay.
Yeah. That was mine too.
I had a guy that I kind of looked at, that he was more of the commercial guy, and here comes Seth Hill over there signing my cup. I said, you what? He said, I want you to sign my cup. I said,
wow, that's a big time. Good deal.
Yeah. So, and then here comes Ashby Miller of Ashby Farms, and he's walking up through the hallway there Thursday, and he comes right up to me, and he knows more about me than I know about him. I didn't watch him a little bit, but he's talking to me, and I said, we were talking about Apis Biologic, and I said, he said, I got to call you up, and here's my card and all this stuff, and I'm like, really? And then I had a lot of my subscribers, a ton of them this year, calling me out and coming up to me, and it's really nice. It's a nice community, nice feel of that from the channel and stuff like that.
So Charlie,
right on.
Charlie, before you raise the prices of your honey because of the hive lifter, I want to trade you a couple bottles of Blue Curl for that, for your honey. So save me some. But Blue Curl, won't be ready. Blue Curl won't be ready till the end of summer.
Okay.
Fall. So save me an early batch, a couple jars.
I'll save you some of what I've got this year, what I sent you.
Oh, you still have some of that?
Well, yeah, I got hundreds of pounds.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm my main thing is trying to overlap one season to the next. I never run out. That's one good thing you always do. Never run out. That way you lose customers if you run out. So, but now, I mean, I sold just a hair over 1,100 pounds for the last year for 23. So that's a lot for me. But, which then I'm going to revamp my increase more honey hives and cut back on my nukes and stuff like that for as far as selling to other folks. But I'll still sell some nukes and stuff like that. So, but that's what's, it's hot. The NAHBE's been fun and enlightening and everything. Hit a couple classes today and all that.
How did your trap line go, Brad?
Unsuccessful. Actually, I'm just looking at it right here, and it's not even a peanut touched there.
You're in the clear.
What I was listening on my phone. What happened to James? Somebody broke in. Is what I heard.
Somebody
You had your
broke in his
chance to get
building,
a hive
stole
lifter.
some stuff,
Huh?
and we thought it was you, but they didn't take the hive lifter. So,
Okay. But what did they steal? They didn't steal that new.
well, he go into detail, but a bunch of his bees flew out of the building over the hour and ended up in the snow and dying. So it was really bad. They did a lot of damage to the door and everything.
Right.
Charlie, he said he knew it wasn't you because they didn't take his hive lifter. So you're off the hook.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the second time somebody's tried to, steal stuff from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's after him.
That's why I told him, I said, you got to get a nice trained Belgian Malinois and fence it in there around the shop, and that'll take care of that problem.
Yeah.
Or a shepherd.
Or a tripod.
Mm-hmm. Or
My
a
son
night
has a king. That'll take care of him.
So Charlie, are you going to the presentation tomorrow on single brood chamber management?
Yep, I am.
Okay, good. I want you sit on the other side of the room for me and behave yourself, okay?
Are you staying at the Crown?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm staying at the Hampton or the Hilton Inn Garden.
So was that you that ran over and pulled the fire extinguisher?
No.
Fire alarm?
No. I don't know what the deal is going on over there. You have to ask Brian. He's staying over there.
Hasn't happened since I've been here. I mean, half the building's under construction, so it's
It
amazing.
sounds like everything's horrible there.
It's not horrible, but it's not great. Like my friends Matt and Sarah, they got here the night before. They got sent out at 1 a.m. with the fire alarm, and they even texted me and said, if you can, change your hotel. And I'm glad I didn't, just because all the people that are staying here, I've had a lot of great hallway and elevator conversations just because all the VIPs are here. It's a little bit of a hassle, but I mean, that's kind of what you get when you travel, no matter where you go. So it's livable. It's manageable. It's only 2 days, so it's not that bad. It's not like my room smells like ass or anything, At least
that's never good.
Yeah, if it does smell like ass, at least it's mine.
That's why I always pack a book of matches.
There you go.
Just saying.
So yeah, it's been okay. It hasn't been bad.
So have you ventured into the construction areas? Is it really under construction, or are you going to go in there and like all the VIPs, they're like, oh, it's under construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, 2 hours and 20 minutes. We're into this. Anybody have any final words? And keep it brief. And I think we should probably let everybody go and get some sleep and wrap this up. So, any final words?
Well, first it was super fun. Love to get to shake everyone's hand, and we would have loved to gotten to shake the hands of the folks that didn't get to go as well. So There's always next year, but that's been the best part. So we'd still love to shake other people's hands, get to have those great conversations.
And we're talking about all you guys, and it's not all bad. So
Well,
okay.
you know, I'm having a great time. It's like, you know, meeting Phil there for the first time in person, and with Brian there, and along with like Phil and everybody, and that was the biggest thing is we meet a lot of folks on my live stream on Friday night there, along with a lot of viewers, and Brad and Ian. I actually had quite a few Canadian subscribers come up to me, and all they're either from Quebec or they're from what's the next province over? I don't
Ontario.
know. Huh?
Ontario.
Yeah, it was Ontario, Quebec, and different ones like that, and it's quite a bit of Canadians, here, checking it all out.
Oh, great.
And, but it was fun. It's a lot of fun. People coming up to you all the time. So,
well, I would invite everybody watching to subscribe to the channels that you're viewing on. This is being streamed to a few different channels tonight, and hit the like button. That always helps us, know who's watching, not who's watching, but how many. There's some numbers. And helps with the engagement and algorithms and whatnot. So, subscribe if you can, if you're not already, and we appreciate that very much. Do we have an upcoming live coming up? Anyone? Bueller?
Tim and Hannah on Sunday.
Tim and Hannah, I believe, will be on Sunday. Gunline Bees, so don't miss that. And I think there might be something happen tomorrow. I don't know.
Ricky Rourke, I think, is having something next Thursday on his channel. Horizontal Bees.
Well,
I think it's going to be an open discussion like this.
Which he did good at the conference. He sold out.
Yeah, I saw that. He was really selling. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in, everybody, and all you people who are at the festivities. Wish we were there.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming in to share the joy and some of the experiences you've had today. I hope you have a really great day tomorrow there too.
Great.
Right on.
And those of us who aren't there, thanks for dropping in to, share in the tears that we're not actually taking part. And hopefully,
crocodile tears.
Hopefully you get some work done, Ian, and that you're not just on your phone the whole time pretending you're at the.
Might as well been there. The problem is, if I would have gone, I would have had to speak in front of those crowds. So it's probably a good thing this year.
Should have told him you couldn't have come, and then just showed up as Ian and not Ian the speaker. Then you could have enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hey, Ian, I'm going to see Natalie tomorrow morning. It's going to be her first time to speak in front of the big crowd.
Good deal. What room is she in?
One of the B105, whatever that is, the B room, and even when I say the smaller rooms are massive.
Yeah,
now that one big.
Yeah.
Well, good on her for doing that. I know she's pretty nervous in front of people, so good on her for that. So I will close it down at that. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate that, and have a great weekend. And as always, like I always say, what do I always say? Take care and have fun, right?
What's the other thing you always say?
Bob's your uncle.
Well, Bob's your uncle. Good night, everybody.
Good night.